Hey everyone, Rebrand here. We're finally making sauerkraut. Bare bones, no bells and whistles, plain fermented sauerkraut. Let's do this. All you need is a head of cabbage, non-iodized salt, and a jar. It's that simple. Nothing else. Nothing fancy. We're not using any airlocks. We're not using anything. Just simple stuff. We're going to start by quartering up this cabbage. And we're doing that so we can get the core out. Easiest way possible. So you can see cutting it up in quarters exposes the core. We'll cut out that little wedge where the core is. Don't throw that core away. Throw it into a bag, toss it into the freezer. Because I'm going to use that core later along with other vegetable cuttings and show you how to make a great vegetable stock. We know what's coming up real soon. It's just around the corner and it's going to be soup season soon. I'm not mentioning the word. I'm not bringing it any sooner. So as soon as we have that core out, I'm going to take a couple nice large leaves and set it aside because we're going to need that towards the end of the ferment here. So see, they peel off nice. Look how nice that peels off. This cabbage would have made it really nice pigs in a blanket. If you know, you know. So after I get that, I'll break this up into 2 or 3 layers to start slicing it. You could leave it as a big wedge if you want, but I find it much easier if you break it up into layers, flatten it out and slice it. It's a lot easier on the wrist. At least it is for me. I find my wrist gets tired a lot quicker if I leave it in a large wedge. But hey, you do you. If it works easier for you, if you like having to lift your knife up higher, go for it. Now, when you're slicing like this, if you have a food processor, you could pop it in a food processor. I do. I have a huge food processor, but I find the layers separate and it clogs up the food processor. I hate slicing cabbage up in a food processor. I spend more time pulling the layers out, and I still end up cutting by hand. So I like the knife work. I've seen people use potato peelers. You could use a mandolin. You could use a box cutter. In fact, I'll do a video showing some other ways to cut this up. But I'm not pulling out my food processor because nobody's going to come and clean it up. It's a pain in the butt. I'm not doing it. So anyway, while I'm slicing up this whole cabbage, and yeah, I am going to do it here. You get to watch me and my amazing knife skills. Haha. Yeah, that haha was a Ryan Anderson haha. Sorry, couldn't resist. So anyway, I thought I'd tell you a few things about sauerkraut while I'm cutting this up. We got a few minutes to go. So sauerkraut, even though that is a German word that means sour cabbage, it is believed that sauerkraut was actually first made while the Great Wall was being built in China. And instead of using salt then, rice wine was used. So sauerkraut goes back actually thousands of years. So, and I believe that was around 220 BC, give or take a few hundred years. And it eventually made its way to Europe where it was refined with the salt. I don't know if I'd like it with salt or with wine. Rice wine. I do have rice wine in the house. I'll have to look up a recipe for that and give it a try. So I just thought that was a interesting fact. So some more facts about sauerkraut. We all know it's rich in probiotics, but it is also rich in prebiotics. And that's what makes it so good for your gut health. And there is a lot of studies out on it and how good it is for everybody and our bodies. And what's fascinating about it is there's so many studies out about the effects of the connection between a healthy gut and a healthy mind. So that's the connection with mental health. And if the gut is working well, that has a direct connection to your mental health. So, and I'm probably going to touch on that again shortly. So, and a lot of what I'm going to say here, I'm talking about sauerkraut, but it also deals with a lot of fermented foods. It can optimize immune system functions, and a strong immune system is essential for fighting off infections and diseases. And there's a ton of research that can correlate a healthy gut microbiome with a more balanced immune system and a stronger gut barrier. So it may aid in detoxification. And, we have the red and green cabbages. And with them being part of the brassica family, along with the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, and bok choy. And because they're cruciferous vegetables, they're very high in a special sulfur-derived phytochemical called sulforaphane. And sulforaphane in cruciferous vegetables and in sauerkraut helps promote healthy detoxification by activating special enzymes, opening detox pathways, and even turning on certain beneficial genes that promote detoxification in the body. So, who knew that sauerkraut's kind of like a natural medicine? Okay, it's antioxidant rich and it's an anti-inflammatory. And that plays a crucial role in protecting our cells from harmful free radicals. And we all know that free radicals contribute to chronic disease and aging. Ooh, that can keep us young. Maybe if I eat more, it'll help me get rid of some of my wrinkles. Sauerkraut contains various antioxidants, including vitamin C, sulforaphane, and dozens of other volatile compounds which help reduce oxidative stress and prevent cell damage caused by inflammation. Red cabbage is higher in different types of antioxidants called anthocyanins, and that's the red, bluish, purple pigment that you also find in berries, beets, red grapes, cherries, and I think we all know that. And I do have a couple heads of red cabbage that I will be making, so we can talk about that, and I'll talk about that more when I make them. Like all fermented foods, it can enhance nutrient absorption, and that's because it makes it more digestible. And that's something that's common with all lacto-fermented foods. It can help reduce cholesterol because it helps reduce the free radicals. There's a lot of research out there that say it may reduce cancer risks. I wouldn't give up cancer treatments and go all fermented foods, but it is worthy of doing a lot of research. So if you're dealing with cancer or have a family member that is, it's worth doing some research on. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of emergent studies out there talking about the gut and brain connection. with mental well-being. And that's with a lot of the different bacterial strains that are in it. So that's something to think about, you know, and having PTSD, I do believe in all that, for what that's worth. Okay, now that everything is chopped up, I'm getting ready to weigh it. Now, I didn't show it, but all of my Tupperware bowls that I use, I take a weight on all my bowls. I know what my bowls weigh beforehand. I have all the cabbage in the bowl. I'm going to weigh it, and then I'll subtract the weight of the bowl. Now, take a look at this cabbage. You could tell it's dry. It's airy looking. Well, I don't know if you could tell it's dry, but it is dry. It's airy looking. The bowl's dry. There's no water in there. I write down everything. I keep a notebook or a notepad or some paper and pen next to me so I can mark all this down. You'll see that momentarily here. There you go. You see that? I'm writing that down there. And I have an Alexa device nearby, so I'm just asking Alexa how to do it. But I get my weight of the cabbage, and then I use the minimum amount of salt. I don't like a salty ferment. And I also deal with high blood pressure, so I don't want a lot of salt in my food. I use a 2% salt brine solution for my cabbage, for my sauerkraut. So I take the weight of the cabbage, multiply that by 0.02. And in this case, I can't read that on my screen right here, but I had to use 33 point something. I rounded it up to 34 grams of salt. You round up, not down, because I needed minimum 2%. There, you can see my formula there. I do put a reminder at the end and show the formula. I used pickling salt. Pickling salt, whether you're canning or fermenting, pickling salt gives you the clearest brine. All the other salts will give you a cloudier brine. So it really is the best salt to use. I measure out my salt. If you do not have a scale in your kitchen, stop what you're doing, go get a scale. You need to have a scale. There's recipes out there that will tell you, use 2 tablespoons for 2 heads of cabbage. Don't listen to those. I've had heads of cabbage that weigh 2 pounds. I've had heads of cabbage that weigh 10 pounds. 2 tablespoons do not work the same for a 2-pound head versus a 10-pound head. You have to go by weight. You will get the best results. You will get the same results. You will get consistent results every time if you go by weight. Canning, baking, fermenting, whatever you're doing, get a scale. You'll thank me for it. They run about $10 on Amazon. You want a scale that has grams, ounces, fluid ounces, and this has pounds on it, obviously. It's a simple investment. It's great to have. I use it all the time. I use the scale almost every day for something in my kitchen. So anyway, okay, I'm off my pedestal on that. I have a lot of little pedestals in the kitchen. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, you can see, look how light, fluffy, airy this is. It's dry. The inside of the bowl is dry. I start sprinkling the salt on. I could just dump it all in. I'm just sprinkling it on, mixing it in a little bit. It's my first video. I'm trying to be a little bit fancy here. clearly my camera and lighting needs a little bit of work. I apologize. I will fix this. I'm working out some quirks and kinks here. So, and I think I'm going to show you the bottom of the bowl here. You could see the bottom of the bowl is completely dry. You'll see that momentarily. There. See the bottom of the bowl, completely dry. When I was talking on live, I mentioned, you buy canned, jarred, packet, the deli sauerkraut, the one that's in the deli section. They all list cabbage, salt, water, preservatives. Only thing here is cabbage and salt. I didn't add any water in this. So, okay. Now you can see, if you look close, zoom in if you have to. All I did was put the salt on there. You can see the cabbage is starting to glisten a little bit. That salt, that quick, and this is, there's no, I didn't edit anything here. That quick, the salt is starting to pull out the moisture from the cabbage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend, this amount of time. There's no editing here. And I'm just tossing it to make sure that salt is spread out. I'm massaging. I'm doing some squishing. Now my hands cramp up easily. So, I'm just doing some squishing here, massaging. I'm going to do this for a couple minutes here. And then I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to go and do something else. I don't know. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to go drink a cup of coffee or tea or whatever. I'm going to take a chill. I'm probably going to go feed my flock. So let's do this. I think I'm going to show it glistening again. But again, you could see, the bowl is still dry. But you can see it's already starting to shrink down. It's not as fluffy looking as it was. Okay, here we go. I think this is about an hour later, maybe a little bit more. Ooh, look at that. Shrunk down a little bit. But look at all that liquid in there. Like, give it a good squeeze and look at that. Look at all that liquid in there. That is some wet cabbage. That is some wet cabbage. I did not add any water to that. That is all that moisture came out just from adding the salt to it. Okay, let's go and get the jar and get ready to start packing this jar. I'm going to weigh the jar. And I'm doing this so I can tell you about how much cabbage will fit into a 1-quart jar, because I don't remember. That's a canning funnel. You don't have to use one. I'm doing it because it's less messy. When I'm putting the cabbage into the jar, it just, less mess. That is a cabbage thumper. You could use a spoon, you could use a meat tenderizer, you could use anything, because you have to pack that cabbage in. You want to push it in hard. If my hands are smaller, I could use my knuckles. You could use a spoon, anything, but you have to push that cabbage in and you have to pack it in firm. And you don't fill it up and then push it in. You put some in and then you push it down. You do a bit at a time. If you do it all at once, you're going to leave air pockets. And if you leave air pockets, you risk getting mold. So it's real important that you do a little bit at a time. Okay, we keep stuff in the jar. Probably put about 1.5 inches of cabbage in. Tamp it down. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see a gush of cabbage juice come up. You didn't see it before, and then just from all the tamping, it's just going to show up. And when you see it, it's going to be like, oh, wow, there it is. And right there, right on cue, there it is. And that's from the compressing. And there you see it. And it's like, oh, wow. And you didn't put any water in there. So keep adding the cabbage in and compressing, adding cabbage and compressing until you get right up to the, almost to the rim of the jar. Now, next time you're at the grocery store, go look at a can of sauerkraut, a jar of sauerkraut, and a bag of sauerkraut from the deli section. They all say they have cabbage, salt, water, and most likely preservatives in them. Everything except for the can. And I don't know why they're adding water to their product. Our little science experiment here, you watched. All we put in the container, in the jar here, was cabbage that had some salt on it. Our cabbage had a 2% solution of salt by weight. And put it in a jar, compressed it down, and boom. It's releasing its own juice. That's cabbage juice in there. And look, there you go. So, I don't know. What, they figure if they add a penny's worth of water, they're saving 2 pennies worth of cabbage? I don't know what their logic is for adding water to their product, but okay. Anything to save a penny, huh? But, yeah, okay. So, okay, back to our regularly scheduled program here. So, we'll keep adding that in there. And while we're doing that, cabbage, sauerkraut, it is good for our bone health, increases our bone density, because it has vitamin K in it, K1 and K2, I believe it is. And that's good for our bone health. So us in the bingo club, us old ladies, we'll be less prone to have to make a phone call saying, help, I've fallen and can't get up. So there is that. I'll stick with that story. How about you? It has B vitamins in it. We love that riboflavin. That's good for the pregnant ladies too. All that vitamin C will save save money on those trips to the GNC to buy that expensive big disc vitamin C with all that rose hips in it that tastes delicious, but it's expensive. Sauerkraut tastes good to most of us. Well, not most of us, but a lot of us like sauerkraut. It has all that vitamin C in it, and it tastes good and has so many other benefits. Think of how much money we'd save on trips to the GNC. So lots of good things about it. Eat a fork a day, it keeps the doctor away. Wow, I just thought that one up. I need a little oil in my elbow, hinging it from patting myself on the back for that one. So let's keep stuffing the jar. And we're getting close. Wow, look at all that juice. Gotta dump some out. I should have measured how much juice I dumped out of this jar, because I'm pretty sure it was a lot. I'm not gonna guess. But in this quart jar, all the juice that I dumped out of there, it had to be at least a third of a cup of juice. It really had to be at least that much. There was a lot of juice I dumped out of there. I'll measure it the next time. But I have about 6 or 7 other recipes of sauerkraut in the wings here. I've got a Hawaiian recipe that has ginger, turmeric, pineapple, and a few other goodies in it. I have a Greek recipe, and that's mostly just some Greek herbs. A couple other little treats in there. An apple garlic recipe with some juniper berry in it, and I love me some juniper berry. A dilly-kraut recipe. I have another recipe with pineapple and jalapenos in it. A fennel garlic recipe. I have a recipe with fennel and apple in it. And I want to make a recipe with, it's a curtido. I think that's how you say it. And it's an El Salvadorian recipe. Well, unless you're talking to the Hondurans, because my understanding, they like to claim it. But when I make the cordito recipe, to me it's more like a chow chow. But the cordito recipe, it's eaten with pupusas. And when I do the cordito, I've made it. I didn't call it that because, like I said, I think it's more like a chow chow to me. But I'll have to make that when I'm in a position to be ready to make pupusas. And if you don't know what pupusas are, ooh, you're in for a treat. They're delicious. But yeah, I have quite a bit here. Now, I'm not going to make them all at once because, see, I make sauerkraut this time of year, but there's also fall is a good time to make sauerkraut when the fall harvest comes in. So, we got plenty of time here. Plenty of time. So, let's see. And yeah, it's pretty obvious I'm doing a voiceover. I have to because my Squawk Boxes don't always cooperate with me trying to do a video. So we're almost, the jar's almost full, so we are just about done here. Let's get a little more in here, and let's get this finished up. I'd say let's whistle while we work, but if I do, the Squawk Boxes really will go off. And it won't be whistling. So, what else can I tell you about sauerkraut? If I talk too much more about it, I'll get up on another soapbox. And then that soapbox might turn into a pulpit because I'll go off on a fermenting binge. And that's kind of what derailed me on the live. And I don't want to do that. Oh, the salt that I used on this, the pickling salt, it has a lower salinity than even kosher salt, in my opinion. Everybody's taste buds are a little bit different. But I do think it's less salty than kosher. It's definitely less salty than Himalayan and Celtic salt. So To me, it makes a better choice. And I do try to use low salt because, for my health reasons. So that is a consideration. We're dumping off more of the brine, more of the juice there. So that is a consideration when you choose what salt to use for fermenting. If you have, if you need to use less salt, the minimum salt concentration you can use for fermenting sauerkraut is 2%. But you can make better choices with the type of salt that you use. So there is that. Okay, here we go. Remember those leaves I pulled aside? We're going to put some large pieces of those leaves across the top. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep those the sauerkraut from floating. So we don't want floaters. When you have floaters, you increase your chances of mold. And mold is not your friend. I know Europeans have different opinions on how to do this. I'm telling you what works here. We don't want mold. So you get that pressed across the top. You do your best to make sure there's no air pockets in there. And it's a wide mouth jar. So it's much easier. Stay away from regular mouth jars. I don't know why they even make regular mouth jars. So, but get that pressed in there. I didn't use both leaves. I had both leaves. I'd rather have two and need one than have one and need two. So I'm pressing down the center to help push any air out towards the sides and then work it out on the sides. And you can see all that liquid pushing up now. So I know I'm getting it pushed in there good. I have no floaters. Now, when I do go to taste test that, I am going to end up with some floaters afterwards. That's inevitable. But for now, it's clean, no floaters. If I did end up with anything floating right now while I'm getting that in there, I would just pull it out and toss it. But as soon as I'm positive that's pressed in there and everything looks good, I'll go and grab a fork and pop a couple small holes throughout the top of that and give it a couple more good presses just to make sure I get out any tiny air bubbles. Any air bubbles underneath there is a spot where you could potentially end up with mold. So again, everything you can to make sure you get out as much air as possible. You do everything you can to minimize problems. So got that done. I think I went over the sink to rinse my hands off or something. Oh, I grabbed a paper towel. Cover up the leftovers. We clean up our mess. Wipe the rim off real good. We want to get all the cabbage juice off the outside. The cabbage, any ferment, does start to get an odor to it. Oh, I did wash my hands off so that I'm not wiping the jar and loading it up with cabbage juice smell from my hands. Cleaning up my space here. And clearly something's going on with my light because I am not mysteriously replacing that cutting mat every 10 seconds. Okay, and now I'm weighing it so I know what that weight is, and then I'll subtract the weight of the jar, and I'll know what my total weight of the cabbage is that's in there. And I think when all was said and done, the total weight of cabbage that I put in there was just under 2 pounds. So for future reference, a quart-sized jar holds right around 2 pounds of cabbage. And there you go. I just put on a two-piece canning jar lid.
And in a nutshell, this is your very, very basic bottom line sauerkraut. What you'll have to do is you'll have to open this lid at least once a day, preferably twice a day. Burp it. I do too many ferments to burp every day, so I will be putting a airlock on this. But this is the basic. You added salt to the cabbage. You saw how much liquid, and you could see the liquid in there. I had to dump off liquid. That's how much. And this is a 1 quart jar. And after I weighed it, we added in 853 grams of cabbage into a 1 quart jar. And you saw how I was packing that in there. So there you go. You could start tasting this after about with the temperatures in my house I keep it around 74. I'd wait at least 5 days, but I like a good tang. This can sit and continue to ferment without worrying about it for easily 6 months. As long as you keep the mold off it, you can go 6 months. I've never had a quart jar last more than a month. But with the amount of ferments I'll have going, this will go into the fridge probably within a week. And I'll talk to you about more of that later. So there you go. Basic bottom line cabbage. And I'll put the instructions in the description, and pretty soon I'll have a bunch of other recipes and show you some other varieties of sauerkraut, and with all the probiotics that are good for you. Thanks for watching.